It's true. Last week, Ukraine achieved a diplomatic victory. The city of Lviv, and along with Lviv, all of the cities of Ukraine uh, received a special status, the status of the European Youth Culture of 2025. This has been the first time for a Ukrainian town to be granted this status. We see this as a very important step in order, A, to mark the contribution of Ukrainian youth to the struggle for the values of Europe and the world. And really, this was the key to our application that we had presented with our team. And we're grateful to all of the partners, nationally, locally, regionally, all of the NGOs, all of the initiatives that joined us and that made this historic achievement possible. We try to stress the heroic work of our youth, because some are obviously volunteering, some are defending the country at various contact lines. And we share this victory with all the cities, from Mariupol to Lviv, from Kherson to Kyiv. This status gives us some very direct, very important things. Primarily, this will increase access to opportunities, various opportunities for young people. Uh, um, Among other things, 2025, to which we're now starting to prepare, 2025 will be very important. And we really hope that when all these events are taking part, we actually really hope to be part of the EU. I give the floor, I would like to ask Oleksiy Dniprov to join us. Oleksiy, clearly this is very good news for Lviv and for many other Ukrainian cities. What does this mean for the country? What does it mean nationally? Hello, colleagues. Oleksiy Dniprov, Deputy Head of the Office of the President of Ukraine. Dear studio and everyone tuning in, I would like to congratulate every Ukrainian with this accomplishment. This is a significant accomplishment for our country. Um, um, because really the application was submitted by Lviv, but the entire nation has won. Really, this has become a victory for an accomplishment for the entire Ukrainian youth. Our unity is especially important, especially at a time like this. I would like to remind the viewers that when the results were announced, Lviv and many other towns in Ukraine were under blackout, as this was after missile strikes. But this victory proves to me again that we will survive and advance and rebuild. Dear friends, you know that this also has been our first time, according to the President's decree, to celebrate the World Youth Day together with the world. Why is this important? This means because to us it signals that Ukraine is part of the world community, the European community. The only thing that unites us with our eastern neighbor is the contact line. So, dear friends, I can speak at great length about Ukrainian youth, all of their accomplishments and victories. I will not dwell on that because we'll be here for a long time, but the significant thing is that the Ukrainian youth impresses us all, impresses the world with their accomplishment, with their spirit, with their we defend not only our state but the values of European democracy. I feel like our youth is defending the calm and the peace of the Western world. What will this victory mean for us? Clearly, this will be many new opportunities, investment, new projects, and opportunities to show yourself. The Council for Youth, the President's Council for Youth, which I co-chair, has been working on these issues for a long time. We have a lot of interesting, innovative projects from our NGOs, our youth NGOs and young people that can be implemented as part of preparing these events to take place in 2025. Our team, along with our international partners, have organized or are going to organize many joint initiatives in the world and many opportunities. And I think that precisely as part of these initiatives, we will extend our cooperation and we will implement them together with the Lviv team. I am very grateful to all those who participated in the competition, to all those who helped prepare the application, and again, congratulations on this accomplishment. I am convinced that we will win the war, and in 2025, as Andriy has already mentioned, we will not only be members of the EU, but also the almost always welcoming Lviv, welcoming Donetsk, and Mariupol and Simferopol will welcome guests to see for themselves the character and the spirit of Ukraine. Thank you for your attention. Thank you. With us is Maryna Popatenko, Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports of Ukraine. Could you help us understand the youth component of this story? What will this mean for Ukraine? Hello. Well, first of all, I'd like to again congratulate Lviv and the youth of Ukraine for being granted, for the status being bestowed on them, together with the TVORY Center and with the youth community in Lviv. We've been candidates for this status for a very long time, and we're very happy that we've now been granted it. In 2025, what will this mean for the youth of Ukraine? Well, first of all, yes, this is more opportunities for development. This is assistance in institutional development. This is assistance in developing municipal services that work with youth and for youth, to improve their efficiency and to implement new solutions. This is infrastructure investment and improvement. There may be additional investment and more international project and cooperation in the youth sector. In 2025, Lviv will definitely become a point of attraction for youth in Europe. And as Oleksiy has already mentioned, we really are in this way, we really do partake of the European community in this way. And in 2025, this will be the opportunity to hold more international events. A key thing here is that the youth assembly will take place in Lviv, which is a huge umbrella organization uniting over 240 European organizations, national youth councils, and it's a huge youth council in Europe. Again, this is opportunities for tourism, not only for Lviv, but for many cities in Ukraine. I'm sure that we will win, and that this will be a new push, a new impulse for our development, for our growth and development. And also this is attracting investment in various youth-related areas. Intercultural dialogue exchange between different cities, which really promotes the cooperation between countries. Because again, we have a new generation coming up, and building bridges and connections between young people, between NGOs and various communities will promote development both of a European space and of Ukraine. This is additional, we're talking about additional stimuli for growth for the city and for young people all over Ukraine. This is additional activities. We're planning quite a few of those of different nature in 2025. This is also a push for full European integration and Ukraine's accession to the EU. We're working very hard in this regard, also in the youth sector. This means also the creation of a municipal youth fund that was discussed in the application, this development of a youth strategy, all of which was discussed in the application. More youth spaces, and again, as an example, I'll just use the example of something Ukraine started in 2018. We started the youth capital of Ukraine, and Lviv became the first youth capital of Ukraine. And again, it was a huge push to develop a youth policy in the city. The fact that we have great, wonderful spaces and networks for the TVORY network. This means that this is partly a result of the fact that these new opportunities pushed the city and the community to help us better work with the authorities and give us the opportunity to come up with a better vision for the youth circles. we're sure that this network will only grow, and this is a wonderful instance to use all over the country. Thank you, ma'am. I would just like to ask, perhaps have Oleh Malets join us. He leads the TVORY youth spaces. Oleh was one of the initiators of submitting the application from Lviv for this competition. So it would be interesting to look back on the path that led Lviv to this honor. At the final stage, other towns like Tromsø in Norway, Fuenlabrada in Spain, and Izmir in Turkey were competing with Lviv for this title. Well, I'll perhaps like to start with the idea that the slogan for the program, sort of the slogan for the Ukraine representation, was to say we are freedom guards. We are. This means that every young people is every youth community that is fighting for Ukraine, that is doing work for Ukraine, whether a student organization, informal organization, that are united and fighting for our eventual victory. And this has to do with all the towns, every town, every village in Ukraine. Yes, the path was really long. This is a 4-year-long process. Again, the first impulse was, the competition for the youth capital of Ukraine, after which the city set itself the goal to become the youth capital of Europe. And the first 3 times, last year we reached the final of the competition, and this year we won. Obviously, that there's a technical aspect to it, that this hasn't been the first time, and we know because of this application process, we've understood far better how to do this, and we started working more along the processes of participation, youth involvement, democracy, cooperation between the public and the authorities. And this process, this long process, is partly what allowed us to become the youth capital. Obviously, that the work that's been done since 2018, since the start of the youth capital of Ukraine, and then also since 2014, has been colossal in the city. There's a huge youth network of student organizations, youth organizations, cooperation between the city, the municipality, and the various youth organizations and networks. This is a huge number of opportunities. This is also includes our network of TVORY spaces, which provides services and activities for youth. I mean, we do have the largest youth events, Zachod Molodvish, which is one of the largest in Europe. So this spectrum of our struggle now, the fact that we're fighting for the kind of Europe, the kind of principles, democratic principles that matter to Europe, and our experience of our team, the power of the people who submitted application, has now brought us to this result. We have a question from the room. Yes, please. Oleh, we know that the preparation for the Youth Capital 2025 is starting immediately. Could you tell us about the steps we'll be taking to take us into 2025? What are the main things for us that we're trying to implement as part of the status? Well, we understand that the title that we're granted for 2025, of course, the 2 years that are coming will be preparation. They will be building the organizational structure for implementing the program. We understand that the program itself includes over 1,000 various events, international events, of which perhaps the largest will be the General Assembly of the European Youth Forum, which will gather over 240 youth organizations from various corners of Europe. But additionally, there will be a huge number of events and activities that will need to be taken that year, and will need to prepare in the previous years. Also, municipally, we need to build up a network of youth spaces. We're already working on restoring one of the former so-called culture houses. We're developing the so-called urban center and urban camp in the city of Lviv. This will be a large-scale project, 5,500 square meters. It's projected to become probably the largest youth space in Ukraine, that we also hope will be recognized by the EU as a quality youth space. Also, we'll be developing a municipal strategy, as Maryna already mentioned. This will be a youth foundation, and we will hope to increase opportunities and financing initiatives, etc. More questions? Could I just to clarify, because obviously this status is an accomplishment for Lviv, for Ukraine, but this is also a ton of work for Lviv and for Ukraine. How will the European party be involved? What is the synergy here? So we have to understand that this competition was initiated by the European Youth Forum, and on their behalf they provide expert support, financial support, and other types of support. Correspondingly, there will be a cooperation with them and other organizations, related organizations that fit under that umbrella. The main thing is precisely creating development opportunities, both individually for young people and for communities and urban centers locally. We understand that a large number of opportunities of involvement and being adjacent to European funds, attracting investment for the city, and, for example, those wounds. One of the sorry. In the case of Tirana, they asked. They said that this increases the touristical attraction of the city. They've really linked this youth aspect with the brand of the city, and they managed to increase the number of tourists, the number of flights to the city, etc. I have a final question, and I would perhaps ask our Kyiv interlocutors to start answering it. When I'm listening to Oleh now about tourism, on youth centers, on other very peaceful things, the question that arises for me and for many of those who are there, is this the time for this conversation? Because obviously we're all dreaming of a future when, at the time, for most Ukrainians, other questions are more relevant. Physical survival and the living through this winter. Is this timely? Is this the time? Well, thank you for the question. I profoundly believe that this is the right time for it. I understand the situation. I understand the condition, the condition of our people, of our citizens. But that's exactly what the enemy is trying to achieve. The enemy is trying to get us to a point where we no longer plan, we no longer do things, we no longer hope. That he wants us to put us into this kind of stupor, this kind of shock state. We have to, on the contrary, we have to show the enemy that regardless of anything, we will weather whatever troubles. We understand where we're going. Our goal is clear. We want to build a country, a developed European country with the rule of law, and that's where we're going. The status of a youth capital of Europe is but an element of this chain of events for us that will hopefully lead us to this goal. So I'm sure that this is absolutely timely. Pani Maryno, you're right. We're talking about the many benefits of peacetime, but I'll just give you a few examples. Right now, of 300 youth centers that we had prior to the war, we have about half of them, about 150, but they're developing. And if they turn, many of these centers have quickly turned around, changed their work, only because this work was resources were poured into this work, primarily knowledge, and this was done with the help of various partners, including European partners. And at the moment, youth centers perform a very important role. They work informationally with people. They help people adapt. They provide psychological and legal services. They provide child services. They provide services for finding shelter for people. These are absolutely relevant. These are services. These services they provide are absolutely relevant to the time that we're living through. I'm sure that this new network that is developing of youth centers will continue in the post-war years. Young people right now are coming together precisely because there is this network and this infrastructure, and they're already joining the renovation process, the renewal process in those communities that need help, volunteering, information work, and obviously many of them also defend Ukraine with arms, with weapons. Um, so this is also very important work when we think about what is Ukraine and what Ukrainians are, and I think that this is extremely relevant right now to invest into youth and to create opportunities for new development. I'm sure that 2025 will be very interesting for us in this regard. Pan Andriy, what's it like to dream of tourism and talk about youth in between conversations about the contact line and generators? A few weeks ago in Brussels, when our application was being considered in Brussels, one of the questions from the jury was precisely that: is this the time, and what will be happening in 2025? And our answer was, like as then as it is today, there is no better time than now. We're precisely fighting for our identity, and I really support both Oleksiy's and Maryna's words. The enemy wants to do everything in their power to frighten us, to take away our opportunities for development. This victory, this achievement, speaks very well of all the youth who are fighting now, and secondly, it shows a compass to us. It gives us a vector to where we're going. We're achieving accomplishments. I'm sure that this accomplishment, again, my colleagues have mentioned, this was happening during blackout, and a lot of the inventive youth would take generators, or they would find ways to watch the and the first applause that we heard in Tirana, on the stage in Tirana, was for the youth of Ukraine. I thank the team who have reminded us that the future begins today. With us were Andriy Moskalenko, Oleh Malets, Maryna Popatenko, and Oleksiy Dniprov. Please watch our announcements. Stand with Ukraine.